Okay, let's see if we can actually focus here. Hang on. Might have to stand up. There we go. Everybody can see me now. Okay. So, welcome to the very first episode of the Drizzle NBA show. Let's just call it that. So let's discuss about some of the weird and wacky things that have happened over the last 7 days. Beginning of the free agency for NBA teams. We've seen DeMarcus Cousins, who is a player that the Sacramento Kings pretty much guaranteed, that they weren't going to trade him, and he ends up going to New Orleans. Now, the Sacramento Kings, to get a few players back, plus I believe a draft pick out of it. But let's face it, Cousins wasn't too thrilled about going to New Orleans, but he's going to have more of an option now as far as progressing his career. I mean, you've got Anthony Davis, for God's sakes, who's one of the best point guards in the game. The guy is just, he's diverse, he can do anything. So I think that in Cousins' case, this isn't really that bad of a situation to be traded there. Plus, he can always opt out of it at the end of the year if he wants to go, for example. Well, frankly, I would like to see him in a Lakers uniform. I think that the Lakers could benefit from him being on that team with D'Angelo Russell and some of the younger players. I think that would be a great fit for them, actually, if things don't work out in, New Orleans. I'm actually surprised the Lakers didn't get down on that deal to begin with. Give some draft picks away. And, they need a star player on that team. I mean, and it has been announced that the Lakers have officially announced that Magic Johnson is their new president of basketball operations, which I'm thumbs up for that. That's great. Thank you, Lakers, finally for doing something about the situation with management. And we just weren't seeing any progression in the last few years ever since Kobe, decided to retire. And that's another thing, too, is that Bryant is now getting involved in the actual day-to-day sports of the Lakers franchise. I think he might be a scout, possibly, which is great for the Lakers if that happens, because then they can start developing some of their young talent. Also, the Knicks organization, well, it's this Phil Jackson show, basically, right now. It's drama after drama, pretty much. They can't really figure out what they want to do with Carmelo Anthony. Some people think he's going to get traded. Other people think he's going to stay there. It's not really going anywhere, honestly, right now. And then, Paul George is possibly might be heading to a different team. The Pacers are interested in shopping him around. Frankly, if I were the Chicago Bulls, I would be on that phone right now and I would say, okay, we'll give you 3 of our younger players for George. I mean, George would probably fit in with the Bulls program. He'd be playing with D Wade and with Rondo, with some more veterans. I believe that would be a better fit for him. I don't think that he needs to go to a team that's rebuilding because, again, then, he's basically back in the same situation he's in with the Pacers. I just wouldn't do that. That would be one of the stupidest things you could possibly do. And again, there's the Cavs who are, for some reason, I'm not quite understanding this, they're having an open workout with Larry Sanders. As you know, Larry Sanders has not even played in the league for 3 years. Boy, I think the Cavs are not thinking here. I know that they're short on the benches with players because of injury, but, I mean, do you really want a guy in your program who has failed numerous drug tests and hasn't even played since 2014? I mean, it's 3 years. Is this guy really going to help you in any form of way? Nah, I don't think so. At most, he's going to play maybe 12 minutes a game and foul out because he has a temper. He reminds me of Rasheed Wallace, if you want my honest opinion, and we already know how that worked out for the Detroit Pistons. So, speaking of the Pistons, they're trying to trade apparently draft picks to acquire a center um, from, I believe, the Phoenix Suns or Timberwolves. Um, if I were the Pistons, I would just wait for the draft and just start drafting new players. I don't feel like there's anybody out on the market that they could even really get at this point. I mean, you don't have any trade value. You don't have any players that you can really trade to get a solid star player right now. Um, Now, I did like what the Raptors did when they got Serge Ibaka. I think that was a great move for them. Their young team. I think that they're gonna become even better. Um, and the Boston Celtics are really in talks with the Bulls apparently because they really want Jimmy Butler. Boy, I'm a Bulls fan. I got to be honest. If they trade Jimmy Butler away, that is just god awful. I mean, yeah, you have some younger players, and you have D Wade and Rondo, but without Butler, are you really going to progress going forward as far as trying to rebuild this team? I don't think so. Not now. Who are you really going to get from Boston, trade wise, who can fit in that system? And I just don't see it. I just think that would be a horrible move for them. Um, and the 76ers, Julio, what is this? The center that they're trying to shop around, Okafor. There we go. I can't pronounce his first name, but he's a pretty good player, very young. I would say he's got a lot to learn as far as fundamentals. But again, if you get him in a good trade, I would think that he would be solid, honestly, in a few years to fill that center, that power forward position. Again, young teams, I think like the Miami Heat might be interested. I think the Denver Nuggets could possibly be interested in him. I even think the Knicks, honestly, could possibly be in that fix too to try to get him. Um, it's up in the air where he's going to end up though. Honestly, I don't really know. I mean, we're kind of halfway into this trade deadline, and I got to be honest. What was your guys' opinion about this year's AllStar Game? Um, is it me, but did it kind of drag on a little bit? It felt like there was a few great plays, obviously from both teams. But did we really have a solid MVP out of that game who was like, yeah, yeah, that person scored this amount of points and helped us, this much? And I didn't see that, honestly. I saw everybody kind of doing their own thing. And Jimmy Butler, I thought you would have had more of showing, honestly. But I guess not. So, um, I mean, obviously the slam dunk competition was kind of sketchy. Yeah, there was a few highlights from it that were kind of like, well, kind of brings you back to, the old contests. I have my favorite contests, honestly, of all time, which I'll be doing a video in a few weeks about, like, my favorite players who competed in the slam dunk competition. Um, but I didn't really feel like it was too impressive. I know somebody had to win, and that's fine. But next year, you guys, we need better players in the slam dunk competition. um, yeah, it was pretty bad this year. I mean, people missed a lot of easy dunks. I mean, I was almost laughing, honestly, at some points when people were just doing horrible dunks and missing them. I felt like I was watching NBA Jam highlights or something. It was just bad. Skills competition I felt like was fairly good this year. everybody did a great job, honestly. 3-point competition I thought was decent too. It's just I don't know. I'm not digging the slam dunk competition anymore, you guys. There's just nobody who's that interesting, who can do the fancy dunks anymore. Well, and last year's winner didn't even compete this year in it, so I mean you can't really, say any more about that. But so this is the very first episode of the Drizzle NBA show. And I'm gonna try to do one every week. And hopefully by next week we'll know a little bit more about who's gonna be where. Hopefully Paul George, if they are gonna trade him, he's gonna go to a decent team. I feel the same way about Jimmy Butler because he's a great player. I think he deserves to play on a good team. So we'll just see. We'll see what's gonna happen with free agency. It's up in the air right now. So, but I'll be back with another episode next week. Thanks, guys. Peace.